On 4th Street, or 3rd Street. Yeah.
It's not that they don't want to give it to me, they just don't want to give it to them. They don't know where it goes.
Hello, Tom.
Hey.
I think it's pretty reasonable. They're filling
I
out.
guess I don't understand.
Okay, so they fill out a form, and I got 6 sites.
So just as a quick
That they're filling
reminder
out before I
before,
put them on the staff. So I said, yeah, they take back. Some people aren't comfortable with their social security number on their staff. Yeah, so I'm usually, I say, can I just say, if you don't want to do that, go straight to HR, they'll change it. Or maybe, I guess you can come to your
He
office.
always comes with that. Right.
The cap.
If they come in, they can't randomly come in HR and can't come back.
So Kathy would be a better one.
Yes.
Did you hear from anybody else?
Kathy or Maria.
Then it'd be a direct shot from there. I'm not saying I'm not careful, but I got somebody bring them to me, and it's me taking my jar. Right now, I guess. We're gonna start.
Oh, they don't have, technically most of our employees do though.
Well, they're not doing it themselves. I thought they're out. Okay.
I mean, they put in their information online.
They should be sending emails that says here, we want to go back.
No?
No, go ahead, shoot. This one, I printed for the one you emailed.
We'll call the meeting to order. Would the secretary call the roll?
Coiner,
Here.
Duffy.
Here.
Okay. Knopf,
Here.
Lamech, absent. Peterson,
here,
Robertson, absent. Schlew,
Here.
Spratt, here. Thomas,
Here.
Trees,
here,
Woodard.
here.
Mr. Chair, there is a quorum.
Thank you.
Today.
Has anyone or everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last month?
I have a comment to make. When you review the minutes, you will note that the location and date is incorrect on the minutes that were given to us. And checking with, we will need to read January 2nd, 2019 in the City Council chambers. Right now, it reads 2018 at River's Edge. We want to correct that.
Huh. Yeah, my copy says, maybe she corrected it with maybe you have an earlier.
She's talking about up here at the top.
Oh, you're talking about the agenda.
right
Oh,
up
okay.
here.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant the next meeting. Okay. Yeah, that would be. Oh, thank you for that. Any other corrections? Let's see. Chris, did you have your? Do I hear a motion to accept?
I move to accept the minutes as written with the exception of the recommendation made by Wendy.
I would say with inclusion.
Inclusion.
I
Thank
would
you.
second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and the correction was, what did you say, Wendy? February, what was that?
It would be reading January 2nd, 2019 at council chambers, but it probably needs to read February.
February 5th, 2019,
5th,
City Council chambers.
2019.
I'll update that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, it's been moved and seconded with that inclusion of that correction. All in favor? Oh, wait a minute. Do we need a voice vote? Not on this. No. Okay, so the minutes have been approved. I'm looking for public. I don't see any public. So I guess there's no public comment. We'll move on to old business. Before we get into the Park Development Fund, one thing under old business was contacting the friends groups. Have you, and just a brief, Chad and I discussed this, just a brief update on the friends groups coming to the meeting.
I have reached out to all 5 friends groups. 2 of them have confirmed for June 4th. This is kind of a placeholder date. Chad and I are working on drafting a letter, exactly what they should expect coming in here. We do anticipate them being here between June and September, kind of peppered in 1 or 2 at a time, minus the month of July because it's so close to the holiday.
Correct. And our May meeting is with City Council, so we can't have them then. And the April meeting, our April meeting is going to be a tour of the parks, so we can't invite them then. That, if you're wondering. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on, Chad.
Now we get to the fun stuff, right? All right. So last month we presented a slate of potential projects and asked you guys to score them. So today we actually have the final tally and prioritizations for the Park Development Fund. Just as a reminder, FY20 there's an increase, so we have $350,000 opposed to previous years. This CIP has been funded at $250,000. This fund helps to just fund miscellaneous projects in the park system. Like I said, the larger list of items was reviewed and evaluated by Parks Advisory and Park staff. The highest scoring projects are going to be presented here. So what we'll need from you guys at the end of this presentation is action to accept the slate as presented, and then we'll move it on to City Council for final discussion and approval, and my goal is to have that on their April cycle. So if there's any questions or changes to this that you guys want to discuss, it would have to be done through an amendment to the proposed slate with a voice roll call on that motion. So with that, items are not in any particular order in the presentation here as far as scoring highest to lowest. They're just put in random order. So here are the proposed projects that came to the top of the scoring, both based on staff and Park Advisory Board. And there's a couple adjustments, and I'll go through those as I go through the list. So Junior Theater Lift. Junior Theater Inc. has committed $2,500. So if you remember, the original cost or projected cost of that item was $10,000 at last month. So it's going to only cost $7,500 with the contribution from Junior Theater Inc. River's Edge remodel at $75,000. The Roosevelt Community Center improvements at $65,000. The Jungie South Playground at $60,000. Vanderveer Conservatory roof glass replacement at $6,000. River's Edge parking lot repair at $15,000. Prairie Heights Park Playground surface. This was originally titled Miracle Field Playground. It's really the playground that was is being relocated as a result of the Miracle Field being installed. So it's the Prairie Heights Playground. So this is the port and play surface on that. River's Edge skate replacement. After we went back and we were talking a little bit, the staff recommendation was to reduce this one and do 50% of the skate replacements. I think originally we had told you it was $65,000 for the 420 some odd skates to be entirely replaced. We felt strongly that we could reduce that and do half, and then be able to maybe tackle a couple other projects on this list, and not eat all the money on that. The Marquette Park South Dola enhancement at $30,000. Cosmic Golf made it at $30,000, and then the Vanderveer Stone Building roof replacement at $14,000. So there, we got an updated number that went down $1,000 from what was presented last month. So the grand total of all those projects comes right in on the button at $350,000. So kudos to staff for working on trying to make some adjustments to get that number to work. Uh-oh, I broke it. What's going on? Okay. So just a quick rehash. This is the junior theater lift, and this is really a safety thing, and allowing staff to be more flexible in stage setup. Roosevelt Community Center, this was improving the carpeting in the hallway, repairing and fixing stairs, installing changing tables, LED lighting, repairing the sidewalk, and painting. Jungie Playground. So one thing we're going to recommend with this is to do a similar type, and this will come back to you when we actually get into the design. So we're just proposing, and with this, we're going to replace the playground. One thing we'll probably come back and recommend is doing an obstacle style one like we approved for Credit Island. Jungie is a very active park, and we think it would fit in nicely with that type of playground. Prairie Heights Park playground surface. This is the poured in place surfacing to go on the playground when we relocate it. Vanderveer, the glass roof replacement, or the panels on the conservatory roof. Excuse me. The Vanderveer stone building, which is the maintenance building across Central Park Road on the north of the park. This is really operational thing. The roof is in dire need of replacement, and that's what this will do. South Marquette DOLA enhancements. This is that front entrance area, replacing the turf with a synthetic because that area is hard and is typically eroded and muddy mess. So we would like to come in with some artificial type turf to ease maintenance and to make that entrance to the DOLA much more appealing and clean for our users. River's Edge, these are the skate replacements. So we'll replace approximately 225 pairs. Originally we had talked about the 450 pairs. 50% reduction in project scope will allow us to incorporate a couple more projects in the overall list here. River's Edge parking lot, if you've been down there, it's got a lot of potholes. So this will do patch repair. This is not going to totally resurface or replace the existing parking lot, but it'll do patch repairs and pothole repair and get us looking a little bit better down there. And then the lobby remodel, this one rated pretty high. Front desk remodel, we're looking at some keyless entry doors, some digital marketing equipment, table chair replacement for the spectators in the lobby, entryway floor repairs, those little bumps Wendy was talking about will be included, new lighting and paint. And then the really new and interesting item to bring to our golf system is the Cosmic Golf System. This came in at $30,000. Again, this will be portable and be able to be used at multiple courses, but primarily out of Duck Creek. But we will be able to do different special events and even use it in park settings too. It doesn't necessarily have to be used at a golf course. So if we want to do something at a park in relation to golf and Cosmic, we certainly can. This is just a quick breakdown of the past 2 years, what was funded. And this is in your packet. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but it gives you an idea of past projects funded the last 2 years. And that's what I have. So with that, if there's questions, comments, concerns, otherwise we'll look for a motion or action to approve the slate, and it'll be moved on to council.
Okay, Chris,
Yeah, I just have a question.
hit your mic, please.
Thought I had the right one. A question on the dog park.
Yep.
And I don't think this was talked about last time, but I'm wondering, Did you look into either cement or different kinds of variations of stones that may not be so costly as the artificial turf down there?
I'll let Betsy.
Okay.
We did not, to be honest, but just from looking industry-wide, it's more appealing to have grass, or at least fake grass, as opposed to just plain old concrete at the entrance to the park.
Okay, because I was also looking at the North Marquette, which, I think all of them have that problem with the entrances where the animals come in. And I know as a dog owner, I'd be okay just to have cement or different stones there that were, the big cosmetic stones or whatever, if that were to be an option and less costly.
We can look into that. For this purpose, at least, if we approve it, then, we can modify if we feel like maybe we could do concrete and cover both dog parks and make amenity enhancements in that 15,000, then we can go forward that way. If not, we can just do the South Dola and then look for future years to enhance North Marquette. Yeah.
Kim, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. On the one sheet there that are highlighted, and it's got, one of the highlighted ones is the pool play features, Annie, Witt, and February, and then on the top 11 up there, it doesn't show. I just wondered what happened to that, or...
Right, so, hold on, I'm pulling mine up for reference. I believe that one and was scored in the bottom 3, right?
Right.
It's red,
Yeah.
correct? Right. So, of the bottom 3, it was that one, the Dola, and
Cosmic Golf.
Cosmic Golf. So, long story short, we ran out of money. But Betsy has a CIP for pool improvements that we're hoping to cover, a separate CIP for pool improvements that we're hoping to utilize to do some of those projects as highlighted. So,
But someplace along the line, we got 11, and something, I think the last one, the Vanderveer, the 15,000 for the Vanderveer, stone building roof, and that doesn't show up on the initial sheet. And it's got, 35 total?
So
And- yeah, the
Kim,
pool-
what we did there is the board scored the Vanderveer stone roof building extremely high, and we took that into consideration. So we were over budget, and by removing the water play feature, we had enough room to incorporate your recommendation into the final slated projects.
Any other questions? Excuse me. Okay, it must be Maureen.
Yes.
Names are wrong.
Thank you. I have a question about the Cosmic driving range. It because it is portable and apparently will be used at various and sundry places at various and sundry times. How does the public know where it will be and what hours they can use it?
sure. So it'll be utilized like a special event. So we'll, like any of our special events, we'll market it through social media, through email, through everything else when we have those events planned.
Okay.
So we'll inform the public of when those events are happening and let them know time, place, location, if we
Okay.
use it in that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kim, did you have another question?
Getting back to the Cosmic Golf, now, if somebody wanted to call up and use that as a birthday party or something like that, you said they were available for that, and they could just take care of their own.
Yeah, the portableness, if that's a word, of the system lends itself to be flexible in a wide variety of uses, whether we want to do birthday party packages or with special events or set it up on a standard twice a week schedule at Duck Creek to where it'll just be open for walk-ins. So the sky's sort of the limit in regards to how we can utilize the Cosmic Golf system, because it is so flexible in how it's set up, easy to set up, easy to take down, portable. Right, Troy?
Jerry?
Because Troy's staff will have to do it, so.
Looking at our proposals and our sheets that we voted on, the sound system for the 3 pools, it's only $3,000. And when we marked the top 5, well, I marked 6 because I figured $3,000 could just pass through without too much problem at all. Can we just do that and get it done?
Yeah, we'll like I said, the CIP that we have separate for pools that Betsy has, we'll cover that.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll get taken care of through that. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why we felt like that pool, when we had those bottom 3, the pool, the Cosmic, and the Gdola, because of that separate CIP, we feel we can cover the majority of what we were highlighting in the Park Development Fund through that. So that's why we prioritize it. Even though they scored, I think, equivalently 41, they were all the same. We can handle it through a separate funding mechanism. So.
Kim, did you have a question?
Last one. Was there any consideration on doing like the River's Edge remodel in the Roosevelt community in stages instead of just doing it all in one year? Spread the money out a little bit farther.
It wasn't presented that way, but we certainly could.
I know when I marked on my sheet, I said it'd be nice to do.
I don't think the rest of the projects highlighted, I think we can find additional funding mechanisms, or they just didn't rank high enough to probably warrant phasing those other projects, because both those 2 were probably your top 2 highest scored projects other than the lift. I think the lift, Roosevelt, and the lobby remodel were the top 3 and well above the other prioritizations. So my recommendation would be these lower prioritized ones that didn't make the cut, we can look for different funding mechanisms, potentially through operation funds or LST funds, or through other CIPs that may have leftover money in them when projects come through, to get those done. So I wouldn't recommend breaking them up.
Chris?
Okay, that kind of addressed my question. Looking at the Vanderveer warming house repairs, I'm even thinking volunteers could help with that situation, or the friends or something,
Okay. So just to echo what was just said, yeah, we can certainly look at other funding mechanisms and volunteer efforts. There's ways to get some of those smaller scale projects done. And we might see, this is my first year going through this process with you guys. Next year, you're likely maybe to see these smaller type projects not even put on the list because of the dollar amount, just because we should be able to find ways to do those, that we are prioritizing, larger scale dollar figure projects that aren't as flexible in our funding mechanisms.
Oh, Jerry?
On the junior theater dressing room and remodel, that's the one where they, on the bottom floor where they are going to extend that, or I see that's not on our list, and I thought that would be on a kind of a higher prior list on that particular part.
Yep. So it didn't score real high first, but the other thing is we have met with a consultant out there. There's some unique challenges to that project pertaining to ADA access. If you're familiar, and I think Daniel may have covered it if you watched his video a little bit, the theater, the lower level, we don't have an elevator. We don't have real good ADA access. And as we got into looking at what it would mean to renovate, to make program space down there, and what the access would need to come with it, it skyrocketed the cost of the project. So we would essentially need to add an elevator to that building, which we're looking at a triple figure number in that case. There has been some alternative developments. We're looking at additional buildings on that campus, particularly the main building that's currently unoccupied, that might be suitable for that additional dance programming space that Daniel's looking for. And it'll be at potentially a lower cost, but we're looking at whether it would like to be to renovate those right now, but, so.
Okay, seeing no more questions, I just would like to say I think you did a great job of bringing this together and right on budget. Well, right on our allotment there anyway. Getting more done than I thought possible. We're going to take a vote on this, and this vote will need to be a voice vote so that we're on the record. So I will ask, do I hear a motion to vote on this?
I make a motion that we make a vote on it.
I'll second that.
Oh, I see a lot of speakers on.
Ready for the roll call.
Ms. Secretary? Yeah.
Coiner,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Noth,
Yes.
Lemec,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Schlew,
Yes.
Spratt, yes, Thomas,
Yes.
Trees,
Yes.
and Woodard.
Yes.
The motion passed, Mr. Chair.
Motion passed. So now we will present this to City Council so they can look it over when they make the final decision. One thing I questioned on Daniel's video, he showed the back of that old garage where the brick needed tuck pointing. I was wondering if there's any historical preservation money for the outside of that building. Since they, I mean, you know, they want to make it just like it was, so I thought maybe it's a possibility. I don't know.
Staff shaking their head, but we can look into it and see. I mean, we'll
It was
see if
just a
there's
thought.
anything out there, right?
Is there any other old business? Tegan.
I was just curious if we could get an update on the tobacco resolution.
So the tobacco resolution still sits in limbo, needing council, administrative, or mayoral action to bring it to their agenda, and there hasn't been any movement on that at this point. So
Can we encourage that in some way for them to bring it up to a vote?
I mean, you
Oh,
can,
hi.
yeah. As always, you can approach any older person to see if they would take up your cause, so staff can put it on the agenda, or any two council people could get it put on the agenda. But somebody would have to decide if they want to use their political willpower to fight that battle candidly.
Yeah. Did you have another question, Tegan? Oh, okay. Kim?
And just speaking of that, when we have that Little League meeting tonight, would that be something we would bring up with the coaches and out there to see what kind of input they have on that or not? Do you got any feel for that?
The Little Leagues govern, there already is a city ordinance that indicates that you should not have, there are no tobacco products around where there are gathering
Right.
spaces.
That's been
And
that way.
so, that's the ordinance that baseball has fallen when they have a parent who insists on smoking in the bleacher, or similarly, something like that. That's the ordinance that they use, so they are covered. Knock on wood, but typically the Little League coaches are very, very respectful, understand the role model that they're playing, and we don't have trouble with coaches smoking in the dugouts. I know that used to be commonplace, but thankfully it's not anymore.
Thank you. Any other old business? Okay, moving on to new business under the park reviews. I flip back here.
So last month we presented, or had in your packet, the summary of the park review exercise that you all participated in. Wanted to give you time to review that. It's here as new business for a discussion item. So staff's here if there's anything that you guys had questions about or wanted to discuss that arise from that exercise and what's presented. This is that opportunity. There's no need for any sort of formal action or adoption on this. This was an exercise basically to help you guys engage a little bit into the park system, to give staff some feedback as we develop priorities for projects, which we did utilize it for some of the park development fund, and we'll continue to utilize it as we prioritize things in the future. So this is just a Q&A session if you have questions or thoughts or comments.
Kim.
The parks I had, the city parks or neighborhood parks, a lot of them didn't have real good parking facilities, but at the same time, I just think that they didn't have a grill. I don't know, I think it would be easy to put it in near the shelter, and it looks like you're doing something for the park. I don't know if there'd become a fire hazard or whatever, but it seemed like it would just be something easy to do and say, here we are, and they say, well, you never do anything for us. Well, you never use the grill, so now we're not gonna do anything for you anymore.
Any other comments? Jerry. Jerry, could you turn your mic on?
I guess I thought I did. Ever since we have put that together and went out and did that, it seems like things are starting to happen. Like the cleanup at Credit Island, that's been going on for quite a while. And some of the other areas as well. So what we've done so far has been an improvement to all of our parks, and I think if we continue to keep doing that and making them look better and better every day, or every year we come up with some kind of a normal project to add to that, I think it'll really solve itself, I think.
Wendy?
Could someone update on where we are with addressing ADA accessibility? I know that in several of my parks that I evaluated, getting to the play features and to even basketball courts, in general, is there a sense of what our comments triggered as we looked into our assigned parks?
So we do have an annually funded CIP for our department for ADA improvements. It's funded at $150,000. So staff works through and will utilize, some of the findings through this, as well as, I believe, the Department of Justice came through several years back and gave us a list of priorities. So that funding is put in place to be able to start tackling all that. It's not a lot of money when you talk about the grand scheme of ADA access, but it's something. So we can certainly give you an update as to what will be funded and what will be prioritized out of this upcoming year's funding allotment. That's being worked on as we speak, but staff can bring that back in the future.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports under the staff. Do you have something from Steve Aarons, or I was there. I was at the meeting, but
So yeah, it's in the staff section. So I'll go through it real quick. Aaron's presented the recommended FY 2020 operating budget, which was unanimously approved. A report was received from the recent Riverfront Improvement Commission and City Council joint work group meeting. The group continued to meet monthly. Kathy Wine of River Action proposed a joint project to place signage at boat ramps indicating life jacket safety zones. And Aaron's provided a report about the recent RDG Riverfront Art Integration public meeting, and also a report from the meeting from Parks and Recreation staff regarding programming at the new flex space, as well as it will be completed around Labor Day. I'll just piggyback off of that right now, if you don't mind, because as part of my director's report was to give a brief update on the RDG plan, and that's referencing the Main Street Landing project, which you guys should have. We sent out emails, and this body was a part and invited to that meeting. I know several of you were present for it. The next proposed phase of Main Street Landing development will be the S1 area, which will be the regional activity area, or for lack of a better term, a play space. So we will play a significant role in helping guide that process. I know it's a discussion topic on City Council's management update meeting today, as far as going forward and developing a task force or a steering committee, which I believe will have representative from this board, as well as Riverfront Improvement, Historical Preservation, Downtown District, and as well as several aldermen. So the next year will be sort of the planning phase for that play area, with hopes to have construction and funding and construction begin sometime in 2021. So a lot of exciting things. If you got to see the plan that RDG presented, it was very well put together, had a lot of good ideas. The one thing to note about that plan, though, is they were brought on board really to design the art component of Main Street Landing. They touched on sort of all the areas, the different rooms or zones of the whole development. So that is a plan that is just part of several plans that are at play. The River Vision Plan of 2004 and 2014, along with this plan, are all sort of guiding documents as we continue to develop Main Street Landing. So more to come on that.
Do you want to just continue with your report while you're
while I'm rolling? Sure.
Yeah.
The only other things I really wanted to give you a couple updates on, and Chair Thomas covered this. The April meeting will be our park tour meeting. So we will meet here to start. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll approve minutes, and then we'll adjourn for the tour. Please plan, if you can, to go a little bit longer that day, probably closer to 2 o'clock when we're done. If that's problematic, just let me know. We can make arrangements to drop you off where you need to be potentially, or back here, depending on where our route takes us. We have extended an invitation to aldermen to attend that, so we may have several on the tour with us. And then the May meeting is the joint council meeting, so that will be held at 3:30 instead of the regular noon time, and it will be at the Davenport Police Department Community Room. So that'll be a good opportunity to engage council and have discussions about the park system and everything great that we have going on here in our Parks and Rec Department. That's it for me.
Thank you. So next we'll call Betsy.
So yeah, you will see my written report, and as you can imagine, snow has been a major challenge for us this season, and will be putting us a little bit behind in the spring with parks cleanups, that sort of thing. Additionally, if you've read the newspaper at all lately, you will see that and have heard that they are projecting a rather large flood for us, so that will also provide a challenge for us. But on the bright side of things, I'm thrilled with the cooperation that Public Works is extending to our department. I've worked for the city a really long time, and I will tell you that this is by far the best cooperation that we've had interdepartmentally, and that is it's just very refreshing. So, if anybody has any questions?
That's the way it should be.
Jerry?
It's been nice.
I don't see any questions. Thank you. Teresa?
Hi. Pretty much ditto what Betsy said. We have been busy. I've submitted quite a few grants in the last couple weeks. One was a Wellmark grant that will support the projected Youngie South Park that you guys just moved on to council, and hopefully council will also approve that project. And if we get it, it would put pour and play underneath it, which would be very, very helpful with its location. It's right along Duck Creek Path, which the cleanup and the usage is really what I focused on as far as being able to put that pour and play, so it would be more accessible to the public for more often in case we have floods, which last year we had quite a few, so I kind of mentioned that. And a couple other ones were to focus on accessibility and summer food. It was a Healthy Foods grant through the National Parks and Rec Association. And it would be to work with our Stepping Stones program to transport kids from their academic programs in the morning to have full day, 10-week programs at Lincoln School, or now it's called Lincoln Opportunity Center, I believe, in which case they would get lunch, snack, breakfast, and we'd be able to do it for 10 weeks. So hopefully we'll get that. And I also put in a grant to put nutritional education programs and some active physical activity programs down at the farmers market, kind of in conjunction with the levee and all the activity that we have going on down there now. But the weather is continuing and will continue to offer us challenges to just get through this upcoming soccer season. We're not obviously 100% sure when it'll be ready to start, and recruiting coaches and asking them to do that is difficult because we right now are trying to put the schedules together and we're not sure when we're going to have affected, you know, if it's going to be that they have to play over Easter weekend, well, what would have been Easter weekend, which they've communicated in the past they don't want to do, but who knew what kind of winter we would have, if they'll care about that now, and all those kinds of questions that we have debates among our staff, and then we usually go with surveys and then just whatever the feedback is. But we're kind of waiting to make those decisions until we know we're even able to start playing. So, any questions?
Wendy?
Do you know when the new spring-summer catalog will be available? I know you've taken all the old ones out, so it says maybe soon.
Yes. Technically online, it'll be available very soon, and I can make sure as soon as that is active that we can get that to you. I think it goes to it's at print right now. I wasn't positive that it actually went, but it's at print, so we should have it. I know we shoot to have it right after spring break. We used to shoot before, but it gets lost and kind of in that whole transition, so we make sure we have it in hand after spring break.
I don't see any more questions. Thank you. Troy?
I was hopeful golf was right around the corner a couple weeks ago, but now I don't know. Staying pretty cold, so I don't have a lot to add to my minutes this time of year. We're finishing up our maintenance. We're doing a lot of tree work that we can, because we weren't able to be outside a few weeks ago. So now that it's firmed up and we're able to be outside, the weather's stable, and we did extend the indoor range into March, which we usually close it in February and get one of our regular golf ranges open. But we extended the indoor range until March 22nd. So there's still particular days that it's on and off. So they have to look at the schedule because of other programming, and that'll continue to change because of little leagues wanting to come in and warm up and practice and things like that. So, but tell your golfing friends that they can still hit at the range until the 22nd, and hopefully soon after that we'll have the golf courses, the regular golf courses open. Any questions?
Kim?
Does that range do pretty good? I was down there last week and it looked like all the stations were full, so.
It's been very busy on a regular basis. There's not a large profit margin there with the things, but it's filling completely dead time. There wouldn't be anything else there, so it is a good activity to have.
Yeah.
We're looking into the technology of getting out a rollout green. They make them, but nothing that we can get off the field easy enough to have soccer on it in 15 minutes. So when we do find a rollout carpet that has some holes or some things, we're looking at something like that so people can putt around, because it is just a time filler for a lot of people to be down there. We're glad to have them.
Yeah, because the good thing about it is I drive the ball as far as anybody down there.
Yeah, everybody hits the ball the same distance.
Yeah.
Unless you can get it above the net, then you can almost get it out the building.
There was a girl out there the other day that was doing that.
Wendy.
Troy put in his report about the celebration last Wednesday for Victor Schmidt. I want to let you know he celebrated his 100th birthday down there, and it was a delight. Fran Riley covered that, so if you're curious about Victor, go to KWQC and check it out. But I wanted you to know that he hung up his ice skates at age 92 when he had his ice skates with him. He didn't wear them, but he had them. But it was a really fun thing, and I'm representing fellow ice skaters. We appreciated the time and energy it took to make it successful for him. He was thrilled.
Thank you. Jerry.
On the golf courses, long-term projects, do you have anything on your mind that's coming up the next year or two, 3 years?
Yes, we're starting to organize for the next fiscal year. Starting in July, we're starting to organize a clubhouse renovation at EMICE within the footprint. I don't know if I've discussed this with you before or if you're familiar with it, but we're kind of along the same lines as what we accomplished at Duck Creek a couple years ago. We're keeping the same, not changing the footprint. We have very limited funds to work with. Within the same footprint, we're trying to make a large impact on the restrooms and make them indoor accessible, and as well as doing renovation to the concessions bar. So we're trying to make some feature renovations to the building and give it a long-term usefulness.
On the bar itself and the restaurant part of it, are we renting that out to anyone, or is that going to be an in-house program yet?
No, that'll be concessions will be by the golf course.
Just by the
Yes.
golf course? 'Cause at past, they used to rent that out to somebody that.
Yes.
I just wonder if we could get more revenue from that. That's what I'm looking at, is revenue. Not so much hiring somebody and hiring it out, but someone that can cook and do those kind of things, because of sandwiches, hot dogs, hamburgers. I mean, you can get hot dogs, you can put them in that roller thing, but as far as hamburgers or maybe a breakfast, or maybe what I'm trying to get at is maybe we can get some guys to just come over for lunch, or come over for breakfast or something like that, to maybe just, I'm not saying go full blown on that thing, but maybe if we can get it started and to do those things.
Sure.
What do you think?
And we continue to communicate with the golf pros on what they feel the demand is that's coming in, because a lot of people talk to the golf professional pretty candidly about what they desire, and they feel like we're there's always like room for improvement. A lot of those improvements require major infrastructure improvements to serve more food and more different types of food. So we're kind of playing out with the infrastructure that we have until we have some more resources to improve the diners and improve the restaurants and the resources to make different foods.
Could this be part of the program that we're doing with the extension of that building?
It could be at EMICE, is we're going to try to make all the money count that we can, all the money that we have, we're going to make it count as much as we can to go that direction. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Kim, did you have something else?
Now, originally, you had talked about extending the path on 18 at Duck Creek all the way down to the ravine. where does that stand?
That was just an idea I had about, as you play there regularly, that road, the current path is in really bad shape. So instead of putting it where it is, I was proposing to put it down below the gully, go all the way to the bottom and back up, because a lot of players end up there anyway, and that way there's a safe path for them to get up and down. It was just something I shot out about, an idea of designing the path that direction.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions. We've already heard from Chad, so now we'll take any comments or questions from the board here. Anybody have anything? Wendy.
I asked the question about the progress on the catalog for this comment in the fact that I think that the April meeting, we should have those catalogs kind of out and available. I'm hoping so. So what I went on the City Council website, and there are 4 identified ward meetings coming up. So that's just for March. And so checking in April, I think it would be a great idea for us to be visible and offer or request some time on the agenda to have some with us and to do some highlighting of our work and the catalog. So I would like us to keep that in mind and maybe make that a goal, looking and going to our April meetings, assuming the catalogs are there.
Thank you. There you go. Jerry.
I just have one more nice comment. We had our ward meeting here a couple weeks ago, and Corey was there, matter of fact. And anyway, she asked how things were going in the park commission, and I told her that it was going. You guys are just doing an excellent job. So just want to let you know that. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? I just had one question. I think, my brain. Chris brought it up about the warming house at Vanderveer. What would be the possibility of asking for a volunteer day to scrape and paint or something? I mean, how do you feel about that? It needs painted. I'm not talking any major repairs, but
honestly, the timing might be very good for that. We, this week, actually just got our notifications from the United Way for their Spring United Day of Caring. And that might be a very good project for a group of engineers from Deere or, that might be willing to take on that project. So yeah, that's a very
would
good
we
idea.
would the department supply the paint?
Yes, typically that's how that works. We provide the materials, they provide the manpower, and in many cases, the expertise. I mean, they've laid retaining walls for us and some other detailed projects that they have that ability to do.
Is that something we could also ask for help from the Friends group? To get a lot of volunteers there and get it done. I don't know how active they are.
The Friends of Vanderveer is an extremely active group. I hesitate to ask them only because they ask a lot of their members and their volunteers, and most of their projects are fundraising based.
Yeah.
And so I hate to pull away from that.
Yes.
Selfishly, because they're raising money for us, whereas this would absolutely be a great project, but it is truly beautification and there's really no revenue there.
Yeah, no.
So.
I just wondered if we could, if it doesn't work out with your United.
Yeah, no, I think.
Then maybe we could just a community day, not even it's just a thought.
Yeah, no, I like the.
Any other questions? Kim?
Do you know when that day is? Because I'd like to I see him on TV and doing that, and I says, I'd like to go over and volunteer.
It
and
is a
help 'em."
great day. I did not get the notification. I want to say staff said like third week of May. But I will get it for you and have Jessica send it to
Okay,
you.
that'd be great.
Can you send that to all of us? Because I might be, I get involved with that myself.
Yep, absolutely.
Chris?
I appreciate that. And also just hope that you reach out to the Friends Board about any ideas or colors or whatever with the.
Yeah,
house,
it is a historically significant park, so we will promise I won't do lime green.
Ah! Anything else to bring up? Any other ideas or comments or anything? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
That was Tegan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.